lip oil, whatever this is. I'm gonna try to wait to see if I could find. I'm gonna try to wait to see if anybody would join this afternoon. What time is it? Oh, okay. I don't be remembering my times. Want to chit chat a little bit. I'm gonna be if anybody's watching this live, I'm gonna be on at 7 p.m. tomorrow. 7 p.m. tomorrow, talking about gates, demonic gates, and basically, yeah, how you could bulldoze through those gates. There's not a gate in this world that could hold back the power of God. So just wanted to chit chat, not no sermon or anything. Just wanted to chit chat to see uh, who's on this evening. Anyway, I think what I named the title of this thing, you're not too far gone for Jesus. You're not, and honestly, you're not, because I used to think that I was too far gone. At least that's what I thought in my mind. At least what the that's what the enemy tried to make me feel like I was too far gone. I don't like that this thing reflects like this, but it is what it is. Yeah, the enemy tried to make me feel as if, you know, I was in too much stuff. I was dealing with too much stuff, and the enemy truly tried to make me feel like, yeah, you couldn't come to God. So if you're joining, just go ahead, drop where you're from, drop where you're from. I wanted to say that you're not too far gone, and I really want people to share this message to anybody that they feel like they are in too much mess and that God don't want anything to do with them. I want to keep it real with you guys. God really did a miracle on me. I hated church. I want to express this. I hated church. The amount of things, not only did I hate church, my mom was a minister. I hated church, and my mom was a minister. And so a lot of the things that I went through, I'm going to eventually put it in a book, because I don't think people understand like how big or how I hated church. And then the one time I tried church, right? And what I mean by the one time I tried church, the one time that I wanted to just serve ministry, the one time that I just wanted to just, not do anything, just focus on ministry, the one time in my big adult age, I ended up in a witchcraft church. So y'all have to understand the levels and the years God did to like really just strip away my perception, my observation of what I thought church was. Like, it took time for me to understand, like, there's God's church, and then there's the churches that y'all see all over America. Like, it took a minute. So I want y'all to understand, like, how much of a miracle it was. Let me give y'all context. I remember the reason, one of the reasons why I despise church, right? I no longer despise. I love God's church. Absolutely love God's church. God made me he sat me down to make me understand like what his church is, what the bride of Christ is. But back then, I didn't know what that was. So I just saw all churches as the same. One of the pivotal points of why I hated church so much and why it's a miracle, why I will go toe to toe for God's church, is because I had put I think I put in my thing that I pinned to my post, I put how I got into a physical fight with the monster my mom was married to at the time. And when I got kicked out, when the whole situation happened, I remember no one would answer my mom's phone call. It was a dire emergency. I wanted them to call the cops. That's what I wanted. I wanted them to call the cops. That's not what happened. So I remember my mom contacting a pastor, And this was a pastor my mom knew, or whatever the case may be. She knew a lot of men. She knew a lot of pastors. And I remember she contacting the pastor. The pastor came over to her office. And so, I remember that the man didn't ask me any questions. Like, everything was like, hey, why would you do that? You're a child. Why would you fight with with the, the person that's supposed to be helping you, and the person that's supposed to be like a father figure to you, and X, Y, and Z. And it was just like, how you ever watch 40, I don't know if y'all ever watched that show, 48 Hours, right? Where they're questioning the people before they're trying to figure out, okay, should they detain the person or should they let the person go for the crime? I felt like I was just getting questioning for a crime that I didn't commit. Now, yes, I was involved in the situation, but he didn't ask me, hey, how did it come about? Where did it come about? Anything. So I'm getting questioned 100 million questions. And now one of them was, hey, how did this start? Why did this start? Like, you're a child. What give you that, like, what enraged you so much for this to happen? And so at the end of the situation, he told me, like, hey, I have to say sorry because now the guy, the monster is not wanting me to come back into the house. And I remember, like, I mean, going off on him. Because at this point, I don't care nothing about your title. Because you're not thinking logically. I'm a child, and I'm like, you're not thinking logically at this point. You can't be thinking logically as an adult. And I remember just going off on him, like, he not gonna let me up in the house. This not his house. My mama had this house before he was even here. How he not letting me? I said, does this make any sense? Are we supposed to be calling the cops right now? Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing? And I remember I looked over and I saw my mom have a face. And if anybody ever saw a face of defeat, y'all know what I'm talking about. Like, I saw it. I don't know how I saw it. I don't know how I understood at such a young age, like, that was the face. But I understood that face. I saw that face, and I was just like, something just hit me, like, oh man, like, this lady don't got no more. She have no back. This is it. Me saying sorry, like, this is it. This is it. Like, I at this point, it don't matter what the situation is. Like, she don't got no other ropes. And I remember me and the pastor going back and forth. And I looked him in his eye and I said, if you're a pastor, and it's midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning at this point, and you cannot understand what's going on, you can't discern anything. Matter of fact, you're not even asking any of the right questions. And I remember saying, if you're a pastor, how come you can't see that's the devil that's up in this house? I'm young, and I'm saying this. And I think at that point, I lost any respect that I had for any titles that I saw in any churches. I did. That, and amongst just a lot of things that I saw my mom go through. I saw a lot. And this wasn't just by, like, one ministry. And so y'all have to understand, like, I did not like clergy. Didn't whatsoever. And so, but I had no problem with God because I heard God. Very young, I heard God. But I didn't have a problem with God. I had a problem with clergy. I had a problem with any of the buildings that I saw. And so y'all have to understand, like, for God to take me from that place and even everything, even becoming an adult and then ended up in a witchcraft church, I like to say that I take accountability too because I actually stayed there longer than I needed to be. Why did I stay there longer than I needed to be? Because I had idolatry towards serving in ministry. I thought serving in ministry was a way to serve God. I thought serving in ministry was a way to get salvation for my family. I thought serving in ministry was a way to deeper my relationship with God. So even when I saw all the signs that I needed to leave that witchcraft church, I didn't leave that witchcraft church because I made so much excuses of why I couldn't leave that witchcraft church. So in interim, I had idolatry. My idolatry was serving in ministry in interim. Now, I didn't have a word for it back then, but I knew like what are you doing? It was almost like I was in a daze. It was almost like, and that's why I like to say I was bewitched, because you have to be in a daze to know common sense, to have common sense with certain things. But then you make another excuse for why you got to stay in an environment that's clearly not a good environment. So I want to encourage some people, like some people are not, I promise you, I was that person that everybody gave up on. I was that person. I was that person, like if they had a group of people, they had a group of 20 people, and they said of the 20 people, who's gonna make it and who's not gonna make it. I was that one person that was gonna point out, as for her, she ain't gonna make it. I promise you guys, you're not too far gone. You're not. You're not too far gone. And I want this to encourage people that are praying for a child, praying for a sibling, praying for a friend, praying for somebody in their family, praying for somebody, a coworker, praying for whoever that you think is too far gone. Because a lot of times we like to look at their current state, right? But I want you to pray and just start saying, okay, God, because it doesn't mean like, y'all got to understand, everybody has to go through their process, right? And I don't like to use that word process, because a lot of times people like to, like I noticed that church people like to manipulate that word process. I think there's a difference between maturity and process. I think there's a difference between growth and process. I really do. But I think y'all have to understand that nobody is too far gone. Like, I was a complete, y'all have to understand, I was a child of a minister. I was a complete embarrassment. Complete. Very complete. But I had a problem with clergy. I had a severe problem with clergy. And a lot of times, to confront this situation, people have to start being honest. People need to start being very transparent. I'm not saying to spill all of your beans online, but I think people just need to be transparent with other, a person that is not where you would like for them to be, but you transparent in a way of, you let them know like, hey, yeah, I messed up, or whatever the case may be. I think people, what loses people a lot of times is when you come off and you make it seem like you perfect, or you come off and you make it seem like you didn't never have no downfalls, or you come off and you make it seem like there's not you don't have a situation, right? You you didn't used to struggle with something. I think we have to be honest in that area. I also had a problem with clergy because the hypocrisy, like I did not like hypocritical stuff, right? And so even in 2012 to 2014, I did my best that I was all in, and I made sure, like, to the best of my ability, not anyone around me, to my ability that I was doing what I needed to do while I was serving God, right? And even when I left the ministry and I tried different ministry till I was like, I'm over it. I'm over it. I said, God, I'm over it. I'm not stepping foot in nobody's place at this point, because either I'm picking wrong or it's a serious issue out here with these churches. And even then, when I knew I wasn't right, I'm sorry. I wasn't gonna step up in nobody's church. That was just me. I'm good. I was just one of those people, and I think more than ever, if you ask me how you win a younger generation, stop being a hypocrite. Be what you are behind the scenes. I don't care what you look like on the pulpit. I don't care what you say on the pulpit. Be like that behind the scenes. Like, be integral. I think more than anything, like, we need more integral people. We need people that could discern too. Because a lot of times people don't know how to discern. And I think that's what lost me when that man was like telling me to say sorry to the devil. And I was just like, how you can't see this man as the devil? Like, you not putting two to two together. I'm a 13-year-old. This man is a grown man. He got 200-pound weight on me. And we going to blow for blow. Now, I will say, when you black out and you enrage, it don't matter how much pounds it is. A small person could take somebody out. That is what it is at that point. But I lost all type of logic for clergy. All type of, and a lot of people's like, they like to say, oh, you can't, y'all gotta understand, and I can't say too much because I know my mom is a known person for her community. My mom used to help plant many ministries. And every time we went to a new ministry, the reason why we would leave one ministry and go to another ministry. Now, I didn't find this out till now I was an adult, but as a child, I peeped game. See, that's why y'all need to start talking to y'all children, because kids will peep game, and they will keep it in the back of their head to see when you're going to say something, and then when you don't say something, they start side-eyeing you. We weren't church hoppers. We was leaving ministries because there were erroneous errors that was happening that were not addressed. This is beyond a scandal. What does this look like? This look like somebody comes in, you put them on the board with you, or you put them on your administration team. They find out that they've been shacking together for 10 years. They go to you and address it as a leader or as an overseer, and you look the other way and say you don't get in nobody's bed. Now, how are you supposed to keep members like that? Like, how do you preach the gospel with good conscience, knowing that you got people in your administration team that's messed up? How does this look like? This look like, people in your administration team, they married, but they got a whole poly system going on in their marriage. Like, how do you with good conscience get up on a pulpit and you know what's going down in your administration team? Or you know what's going down. Members are having allegations about certain things and you're not addressing it, but you're just looking the other way. And so, or y'all using the funds to pay for y'all escorts and stuff. So you gotta understand, like, she was leaving because she did the integral thing to do. That's what saints are supposed to do. If it's something, and I'm not saying these are hearsay, these were stuff my mom was in direct, like, she saw, or because she was in direct connection with the person that was on the administration team, and she saw, like, the back meetings, or people will call the green room meetings and stuff like that. and it was getting addressed, and it was just getting pushed under pushed underneath the rug. So how can you in good conscience as a saint stay in a place like that? You shouldn't. You shouldn't. So y'all gotta understand, like, God really had to do a combing through with me to show me in Bible, with Bible, that there's a difference between God's church. There's a difference between God's church, the bride of Christ, and a church that you may see, right? Doesn't mean that a church is going to be perfect, no. But are you in a good place if the church, to the best of their ability and they're integral? Yes. The man of God, the woman of God is integral? Yes. Does it mean it's going to be perfect? No. No. Because it's a bunch of imperfect people that's gathering in an assembly in one place to serve a perfect God. So that's what this, so God really, guys, nobody is too far gone, right? And so that's just what I want to say on that end. And then on the back end, I had a very reckless life. So on top of the reckless life that I had, on top of me not trusting in the community that my mom devoted to, that I seen she devoted. I was just like, oh, this ain't for me. This can't be for me. This ain't for me. Cause I tell a person off quick. And that's why for me, like, for the longest, I was like, God, there's no way. Absolutely no way. You know I'm going to tell a person off. What am I supposed to do? There was years I used to tell God, I'm not doing none of your business, because from what I was taught, now this was around the time where I wasn't, whenever God would tell me this, I was not going back to the word to get the instructions, right? To understand and really let Holy Spirit break that down for me. So the years that God was like, yeah, but I need you to do this, I was like, no, I'm not doing it. Because the people that saying that they serve you, they stupid. They wilding out. They acting like ignorant people, and I don't want to deal with that, because if I have to deal with that, then I mean I got to go off on them, and I don't think that that's Christian to go off on these people. Yeah. So these are stuff like I had to learn with God. I truly had to learn with God. How did He teach me? Being in corporate America, you work with ignorant people in corporate America. They are they have PhDs in ignorant. They do. Most of the most ignorant people I met had degrees. And don't let them have the best talk game in the world. Walking the store, they're a walking dictionary at times, but so ignorant. I mean, like, yeah. And so God had to take me through this training. So there's nobody, I just want to really hone that in. Like, nobody's too far gone. No one's too far gone. I don't care if they say, like, your speech is not good. I don't care if they say, like, you don't know how to speak. I don't care what it is that a person know about your past, what it is a person know about your background. God can refine that story, and He could make it for His glory. Nobody is too far gone. No one. No one is too far gone. People are struggling with things, and they think that, oh, well, I'm going to wait to this, I'm going to wait to that. But to be honest, God can meet you right where you are. He just needs you to be willing. There's nobody perfect that comes to God. There's no one that's perfect that comes to God. There's no right time to come to God. As a matter of fact, He takes it in. A lot of times when you surrender, it's like the most uncomfortable time, the most random time, the time where you feel like Your back is, sometimes it feel like when your back is against the wall, or sometimes when you feel like you in the lowest of lows of lows of lows, or sometimes when there's a void in you and you don't know how to fulfill the void. You have tried everything in the world to make you fulfill the void, and the void still cannot be fulfilled. And that is the time where it's like, okay, I could swoop in right now. That's what happened with me. He came in, I was able to surrender because at that time of my life, I had a void. I was running and disobeying and disobeying and disobeying to the point that the disobedience, it created a void. And so it don't matter what you're doing, whether you on drugs, whether you sleeping around, whether you think that you're making the most amount of money in the world, you partying hard, whatever that it seems like you're doing, you getting an abortion, whatever it is, there is no amount of tools in this world. There is no amount of money in this world that can fulfill a void if you have a real void in your life. Just try Jesus. Nobody's too far gone. I have seen, you know, there was a story of this lady that I knew. She had a powerful testimony, powerful, right? And at the time, this was maybe 20 plus years ago. At the time, the reason why I loved her testimony so much is because she was like a really high voodoo priest, right? And she had an encounter with Jesus Christ. And she was explaining her story. And what I loved about her story was the fact that she was so free to talk about it. She was so free to talk about it. She was so free to talk about what she went through, the process. And when I say she literally had to go through a process. I think I said it in my video a few months back, how when she was getting baptized, like the water almost swallowed them. The sea almost took them, everybody that was around them that was getting her baptized. This was back then. I don't know how much churches do it, but back then, they got baptized at the water, or they got baptized at the river, they got baptized at the sea or the ocean or whatever. She said that how the water almost swallowed her, the pastor, everybody that was, because it was such a fight, right? And I look at stories like that and I absolutely loved a story like that because it showed that you are not too far gone. It does not matter what you're in, what you're mixing yourself in, what you're going through. If you dabbling in spirituality, whatever you're doing, you're not too far gone for God to put his hand on you and walk you through it. It's all about if you're willing. It's all about if you're willing. And it's all about too if it's the right, like, especially nowadays, a person that's leaving whatever lifestyle that they're leaving, um, they really gotta walk with someone that's willing to walk with them, or they really gotta listen to stuff that is really feeding their inner, right? So for me, I left the street and then I end up in a witchcraft church. Like, the mind games that thing did with me was bananas. Because I really, like, I knew, like, my hold on God had to be stronger, because I think about other people that I know that if they leave the street and they end up in a place, I don't care what y'all say, they leave the street and they get into the bag and then they end up in the wrong place, it could lead them to go right back to the street. And that's why I believe, why a lot of places cannot get the street people off the streets, because first and foremost, they could peep game. Like, if they could see that you're not standing about what you're standing about, why are you talking to them? Just why? And that's how I felt. Like, I'm going to these places and I'm like, y'all shouldn't be preaching. Like, you don't even look like you sure about what you stand on. You don't even look like you sure, like you know what you standing on. And like now more than ever, guys, we in the season, like, people want to see what you stand on. People want to see, like, do you mean what you say? Or are you just talk? Are you just bluff? Or are you really standing on what you say you standing on? And I think we're gonna get to that point where people are really gonna have to show people, like, you are standing on what you standing on. People can see when a person is not, and that's what people don't understand. People that don't grow up in the church, they can see when a person is not integral. They can see when a person is all about bluff. They can see if a person they're doing it for clout, or they're doing it for business, or they're doing it for a come up. They're doing it for money. A lot of people who are in ministry, it is a business for them. They're not in the business of winning souls. They're not in the business of getting and seeing people healed. They're not in the business of helping people to break free from chain. Show them that the direction is Jesus Christ alone. Like, people can see that. People could really see that. But you're not too far gone. There's no one that's too far gone. No one that's too far gone. And a lot of times, like, you see a person on the street, or you see a person and they look like, and I'm not talking about the ones who's like, because some people you could tell, like, they kind of like out of their mind or whatever. I don't know. Let the Lord lead you. But, sometimes if I see someone like it's completely out of my mind, the next time this happens, I'm going to ask God, can they even, like, remember what I say to them? Because they look zooted out of their mind, like completely gone somewhere. Like, can they really even remember what I'm saying to them, right? But the next time, whenever you out and about and you see certain people or whatever the case may be, I really want you guys to just, hey, can I pray with you? Have a talk with them. You don't, like, I think we be overdoing it sometimes. Hey, when the last time you prayed, can I pray with you? What is it that you want me to pray with you about? I want, like, just think about it. Sometimes person, they don't want anything else. Maybe they just need a prayer real quick, right? You plant the seed. Maybe they just need a prayer real quick. I think we just got to be a little bit more transparent, right? You talking to a young dude, and he look like he getting him money in the street. Now you finna come. What are you telling him something about getting it? Talk to him about God. Talk to him about, hey, hearing the voice of God. You tell him to get out the street, like, what do you? Okay, then what? That's what be getting me. Cause people, get out. Then what? How are you helping them? What else are you gonna tell them besides you tell them to get out the street? Like, what are you gonna tell them? Are you gonna tell them to get? Sometimes they don't have their GED. Sometimes they didn't graduate high school. So what are you gonna do? What school are you gonna point them to? Hey, you can get your GED here free. All you gotta do is show up your ID. Da 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 da. Like, are you gonna do that? Or are you just gonna invite them to Bible study as is? That's my bet. Invite them to Bible study. Invite them to teaching online. That's what I would do. And then you continue to feed the word. You continue to feed the word, and you let the Holy Spirit convict them in that area for them to get off the streets. No one's too far gone. And the reason why I'm saying this is because y'all know how many times growing up somebody told me or told somebody that knew me like, ah, she too far gone. She for the streets. Y'all know how many times I heard that? Now I'm built a little different. I just knew that I was never gonna listen to what the people had to say. But I just want to explain to you guys, like, no one is too far gone. No one. No one is too far gone. No one is too far gone. Now there are some people like, I don't know, it's questionable. It's questionable. But I'm not talking about regular people that you see on the street. I'm talking about just let God be God. Because if that was the case, like if that lady, I want y'all to understand, like she was a high, like top voodoo priest in her town. And not only that, like she was wealthy with it. Like super wealthy with it. And she had an encounter with Jesus Christ. And I until this day I remember this lady's testimony because if it was this generation nowadays, they would have been like, oh, she's too far gone. So my question was, where was she at in her life for Jesus Christ to appear to her and to give her an encounter? She was a high voodoo priest. She was a woman, wealthy at that, very wealthy at that. And so if it was to the terms of nowadays, anybody would have said that she was too far gone. But she wasn't. She wasn't that far gone for Jesus Christ to appear. And I want y'all to start like preparing yourself because y'all gonna start seeing people have people that you would have never thought, people from outside of the church. They're going to have encounters with the Lord. They are going to have encounters with Jesus Christ. Now I want y'all to verify it because there's some people like they giving sketchy testimonies out here. They really are giving some sketchy testimonies. So I want you guys to test the spirit when it comes to that. But there are going to be people who are having encounters out of nowhere. Like they was in the middle of their mess. I was in the middle of my mess when I surrendered to God back in 2022. There are going to be people dead in the middle of their mess. And Jesus Christ is going to appear to them. The Lord is going to like illuminate his light on them. So they're going to have encounters in the middle of their mess. And so when y'all see them and they're going to be giving their testimonies and a lot of them, they're going to be looking like where to go so that they could get encouraged, so that they could get equipped, so that they can get built up. And then, you know, y'all got to be careful. Oh, you got to find a church. Elaborate a little bit more than that. Because, baby, I was looking for a church and I was finding all the witchcraft churches. I was looking. Spiritually abusive. Some of them was straight up, habitual liars. So y'all got to be a little bit more like, we got to stop acting like in La La Land, like every church you go to is going to be like, is going to be a church that's really preaching the message of Jesus Christ. Yeah, like y'all really got to be, come on, like, why we acting like this? I really want to know why some people be acting like this. There are some places that there are dry spots. There really are some places that are dry spots. I'm not gonna keep this live too long. I'm gonna so if you watch this tomorrow 7 p.m. I'll be on. I'm gonna try to we're gonna be talking about gates. On Thursday we talked about gatekeeping, demonic gatekeepers. What does that look like? How does that look like? And so we're gonna be talking about gates tomorrow 7 p.m. So go ahead, join, share this live. And the reason why I'm even saying share this live is so that it could push out through however this thing goes. I don't know. That's, they have their own mechanism of what they push out so that more people could hear these messages. Um, yeah, I'm actually, yeah, I'm going to do another video about that because um, when I was doing the teaching on Thursday, one of the things that hit me like a ton of bricks, when was it? This morning? Yesterday or this morning was the whole thing about Agag and how he wasn't totally destroyed. So I'm going to be doing something separate in regards to that. But anyway, guys, I hope y'all enjoy y'all family. See y'all on the next one.